Hello, hello, hello. It's Lillian Reekie here, parenting strategist from Parent Support Network, and I have a very amazing guest with me today. I have my incredible husband of 32 years, Andrew Reekie. Hey, Andrew.
Hi, you struggled on that. Remember that, didn't
I did indeed.
you?
So I caught Andrew home early from work today, so I wanted to jump on and share about something exciting that Andrew and I are doing together. Ooh, let me just say a masterclass quickly. Andrew and I actually used to work together years and years and years ago. We used to travel the country doing seminars, live seminars together. We did that for many years. We probably did, hundreds of seminars over the years, Andrew, from coast to coast, lots and lots, sharing about this topic that we're really passionate about. So today I'm wanting to talk about our children, wanting their dads to be their superhero. And what I mean by superhero is not like your, Superman type superhero, but just their dads to be important to them and to be, somebody who they can look up to as a role model, and also somebody who they can see plays a big and important and equal role in their parenting, and particularly not just for boys, but it does seem really important for boys as they, come through childhood into teenage years particularly. And I'm sure that most of you have heard our journey, but if you haven't and you're new to listening to us today, I'll share it very quickly. So our youngest son, who is now 29, was actually diagnosed with ADHD, ODD, and childhood depression when he was younger. And let me just say, he was very challenging. He was very hyperactive. He was very defiant. He could be aggressive and angry.
Like his mum.
Like his mum. And we really, really struggled. We really struggled with him. And I can't speak for Andrew, but I know, for me, it was a really, really stressful time. And I've shared this recently with total transparency that I almost wish I was the one out working, earning a living, and not at home having to deal with the stress of this amazing, beautiful young man. So, but fast forward, I guess, Andrew and I were doing the best we could as parents in the first few years. And then when early, adolescence hit, teenage years hit, that's when it really hit the fan. And the reason I really, want Andrew on to share today is I believe he's always been an amazing dad. However, we just didn't have the tools in the toolbox at the time to know how to deal with the situation. And I know that I was stressed. Andrew was stressed about me being stressed, and, stressed about the whole situation. And he was trying to really hold the family together because I definitely wasn't coping for many of those years. But it wasn't until our son was about 14 when things were really, really tough. You may have heard me talk about my book, The Revolting Child, A Blessing in Disguise. And it was at that point where I believe Andrew really, really stepped up. And it's not that he was being a neglectful dad prior, but basically, like many of us parents, he just didn't know how to cope with our son's behaviours, with the way that he was reacting to the world. And of course, we as parents were reacting back to him in a very upside down way, unknowingly, still with all the love in our heart, but we were parenting very upside down. And I'm sure Andrew would probably agree that he was, as well as I know I definitely was. So, Andrew, feel free to jump in and start the story where you want, but I just want you to share with everybody why, you see the role as the dad as being important, because let me just backstep just a little bit. In my parenting work that I do, unfortunately, it seems to be that a high percentage of the people who seek my assistance and seek my help and join my courses and stick with my courses and do the work are the mums. Now, not always. I've got some great dads on, particularly one dad on my current course who's really doing well. Some dads actually get started and then they fall off the wagon, and others just don't commit. So I just want you to really just share what a difference it was. What was the revelation that you had you realised that your role as a dad was so much more than you thought it could be or it had been, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Look, when you think about it, and look, this is time for reflection for both of us, isn't it? But how easy would it have been to bury my head in the sand, make it your problem? I earn the money, I'll go to work, you deal with it sort of concept. And I would have really missed the point. I would have blown my relationship to hell with my family. It would have been such a stupid move, but it would have been such an easy move at the time. And I think it's the easy move. It's the easy thing to do. And we all tend to shy away from discomfort and move towards what's easiest in life, that, you know, the easiest path traveled sort of thing. But with this, it was right smack in the middle of our family, and to ignore it would have been just so self-destructive, and we were continuing down a path that wasn't working. And what's that definition of insanity?
We continue to do the same thing over and over.
Yeah.
And expect different results.
Yeah. If it's not working and you're having issues and you don't make a choice to change something or at least seek some advice.
Nothing changes if nothing changes.
Yeah.
The other one.
Yeah. And so, like, I'm still uncomfortable with that whole superhero thing, I got to say. You know what? I'll just settle for the fantastic relationship I have. Okay. We are the best friends anyone could hope for. We are the best workmates. We are everything any man ever hoped for from a relationship with their son. I enjoy. So it's almost bringing a tear to my eye to express this. Yeah, go on. What are you going to say?
So, Andrew, share with everybody listening, what was the tipping point, and then what happened from there?
Is it worth going back to talk about really seeing that video was a big change?
I think that's where we have to.
And it's really so far before the work that you're now doing, and but it was, you know, what's that saying? When the student is ready, the teacher will appear. And I seriously believe that's what played out in our lives. We were so ready. We were seeking the help. The weird thing is we were seeking the help for our son, having no idea that it was us that needed to change.
I think can I just interrupt there? I think that is a key.
Yeah.
That if you haven't picked up on yet, if you're a parent listening, and particularly if you're struggling with your parenting and relationships, Andrew just said it wasn't about our son, it was about us needing to change. So continue. I just wanted people to realise that. It
is so vital, and it's so empowering because you think about, we spent 14, 15 years trying to change him. And how did that work for us?
Not very well.
for all the mums and dads out there, how's it working for you? You know, if you're having challenges, and you may have a wonderfully cooperative relationship with your children, and that's fantastic, and it's not to take anything away from that. But if you're struggling in communicating in a way that's uplifting for all of you, then something needs to change. And we had I watched a video in a counsellor's office. We had our son in for counselling, and I didn't realise at the time that it was me that needed to be there, not him. And so it was so opportune that he was taken off into a room to be spoken with, and I was given free rein of some videos, and one of those videos had a title that caught my eye. And I watched this at the time, and it was 15 years ago now, a 20-year-old video on beta, I think it was. I don't think it was even VHS at the time, I can't remember. But it was old and blurry, but the information just it was like a brick up the side of my head. Honestly, it was everything that had fallen out of my mouth in the years prior was so off track. It may have been coherent with what my upbringing, but it had nothing to do with what was best for my son and what was best for our relationship, because come the end of the day, without that relationship, he might as well go. And so that at that point, I can remember getting tears welled up in my eyes in the car on the way home, because I couldn't wait to get out of that waiting room because my head was just spinning with it. And ridiculously simple information, but it was just so life-changing. And I'm not hiding the contents of all of that video. It's just that Lillian covers that all so well in her courses. It's not secret proprietary information. But
it's not well known enough, just the same.
No, it's not well known, is it? So the long and short of it, I can remember saying to him, I swear to God, everything will change from this moment forward if you'll just give me a chance. And he was in the front of the car with me, and he started crying as well. And he said, oh, it's not your fault, Dad. I don't know what's wrong. I just can't. And went into an apologetic rant. And anyway, got home and virtually Lillian had just had an operation, so I almost had to carry her into the waiting room the next day so that her and I could go watch this video. And she agreed. And we asked where this guy had, where is he? Who is he? How do we make contact with him? And the counsellor didn't know. But evidently must have jumped on the phone after we left. And a few days later, we get a call from a guy called Frank in Los Angeles. And anyway, Lillian communicates this whole story so well, but it's, we spent the next 18 months, 2 years coaching with Frank.
Our angel.
Our angel. See, the way we had to coach with Frank, because we didn't have a pre-formatted way, was to have, I'm going to use the language, have shit happen in our home, and then we'd have our weekly call with Frank to tell him about that shit and how we could handle it better. Okay. And he would, and sometimes we'd think, oh, we can't say that, we can't do that, because it seemed like it was so out of control. But Frank taught us that control of our son was the last thing we wanted, and that we needed cooperation. We need him to be on our side of the fence with us moving forward, rather than placing him on another side of the fence. And what we learned over those 2 years has been just so dramatically life-changing. And so it's led to Lillian now finding the nurtured heart approach, and it's a systematic approach to what we were taught. And in a way, I don't really practice the nurtured heart approach, and it's probably worth saying this right now, actively in the way, because I had so ingrained.
You actually do, though.
Well, possibly do. But
in the way you communicate. Yeah.
Yeah. I could not talk down to our son. That's just foreign to me. Frank taught us, treat him like a king for a few weeks and he'll reciprocate within a few weeks. Mark my words. And what happened, Lillian? You say.
Absolutely. It was like somebody zoomed down and took this other kid and replaced with a different kid. And not only, he actually did look different, as in he was still the same person, but he just...
The anger was gone from his face.
His face changed because I think, Andrew, he came to the realisation that, thank goodness, my mum and dad see me now. They're my biggest supporters and fans. And it's not like he didn't think we didn't love him before, because he knew we did. But he must have, through his lens of a kid, he must have thought, I can't get it right.
Yeah.
I'm always in trouble. My teachers see me as being a troublemaker. My mum and dad see me as being a troublemaker. I know they love me and I know they're trying, but they don't see me. They don't understand me, and they keep focusing on all the things I'm doing wrong, and they don't see me for any of my greatness. And that is one of the things that I love about what we learned from Frank and the nurtured heart approach, is actually actively seeking out and acknowledging our children's greatness. And even if they're just tiny baby steps, because sometimes when kids are really acting out, and why are they acting out? Because they're responding to their environment, they're responding to their parents or their environment, and hence why they have those behaviours. But when we start changing the way that we see them and what we start recognising and giving energy to, so instead of giving energy like we were, Andrew, to all the negative stuff, the bad behaviour, they're getting in trouble at school, they're not listening, they're fighting, they're not being cooperative, they're not doing the homework, they're not helping around the home. Like we all of our energy, most of our communication was around all the things that he was doing wrong, instead of looking for his greatness. And he always had that greatness. We didn't have to change him at all. He was just responding to us.
Yeah.
So all we had to do was change us. And that was the key difference. And I've invited Andrew to come and join us on our next masterclass because I had a big aha. Does anybody else get ahas from the universe? Like a real big aha.
That was what the video was.
It's just that because of the work that I do, I see so many dads missing out on the sort of relationship that they could be having with their kids. And not only their kids, you know, like our two boys are now in their late 20s and 30s. So, you know, we have amazing relationships, and we might have had good relationships maybe anyway, but we might also have lost our son because of what was going on, you know, 13, 14 years ago. I'm pretty sure we would have lost him in one way or another.
But Lillian, also, how often do you hear of young girls, because they don't have a great relationship with dad, it leads to all sorts of stuff for them later in life.
They go,
as well.
a lot of girls go and seek that male relationship in not so positive ways from other males. Yes, it's true, Andrew. It doesn't matter whether it's boy or girl. It seems like a lot of my clients that I work with, the challenges they're having, I think pretty much all of my clients on my current course are dealing with behaviours with boys predominantly. There's a couple of exceptions, but it's so important for dads to really understand. And sometimes, you know, men come along to my talks or my workshops or my courses and they think it's all ooh-hoo, la-la, you know.
Oh, look, Lillian, if I can interrupt. Interrupt. Look, let's face it, you're a very girly girl, and you communicate so femininely, and it's something that I love in you. So it's a definitely not a criticism. This is actually a comment, a compliment rather. But it would be so easy for me to have provided. Maybe it was because it was delivered by Frank, and maybe Frank had a
no BS way about him, didn't he?
Very left brain, no,
to say the least.
Definitely no BS.
Some of the stuff that he said, like I'm like, I said to Anne, did he just say that?
But no BS, very left brain, logical, and he gave me a format to follow. And it's, as a man, we need, just give me some goalposts, you know, and if I stay within these, and we continue to get things wrong, and I'm sure we get things wrong today. It's just that our relationship is so good, it copes with the wrongdoings, doesn't it? It doesn't matter anymore. But I think as a man, I'm hoping that my input might just help in that just men just want a path to follow, and we do, and it's not that we're stupid, but we need to keep it simple so we can focus on one thing at a time. And that was what worked with Frank's input, because I could focus on, okay, I won't do that again. And it was kind of funny because we would handle it better next time, and we get such a good response that we could never go back. That's the way we did it from that point forward.
I love how you just said that, Andrew, because the one man who's really started my course, so I'm doing a 24-week course, and we're up to like week 18. He has been on every week
Yeah.
And he's actually going to be joining us on the masterclass as well. And he basically said something in our group chat the other day, like, now that I know what I know, I can't go back.
No.
I can't go back to communicating the way that I was communicating. So he'll be coming on and sharing along with Andrew. I've got another couple of Nurture Heart Approach colleagues of mine who are putting together videos to share on the dad's role in parenting.
Great.
But here's my flyer that I put together on good old Canva. Every child wants their dad to be their superhero. Connect with your kids in a way that will bring out their best and yours. So the masterclass is actually on Monday, November the 7th, so a couple of weeks away, at 7:30 p.m. AES time, Queensland time. I haven't yet got the registration link ready. My IT guy is working on that in the background, but I will post the flyer in the comments so that you can at least have the flyer, pop it in your diaries or in your calendars. As soon as I have the link to register, I will get that to you. As a matter of fact, if you are listening to this live, please just in the comments below put a little emoji or say I'm here, or replay, or something so that I can see you've listened in, and then I will make sure that you get the a personal registration link to be able to attend. So we're going to have myself, Andrew, the father from our current group who's doing awesomely well with it, and a couple of male colleagues. Nathan won't be coming along this time because we just wouldn't have had time for Nathan this time. So it's just going to be really all about dads. And so please, if you are a dad, please come and join us. If you are a mum and you want your children's dad to join, please encourage him to come and join, or please tag a dad in to this live. I'll actually pop it on YouTube as well to maybe make it a little bit easier to share. We want as many dads as possible to come and join us on this masterclass, because it is going to have an emphasis on dads and how important parenting is for dads. We don't want our kids to get DDD. We talk about ADHD, ODD, etc., ASD, but Andrew and I actually coined this term DDD back years ago, which is dad deficiency disorder. So we don't want our children to have dad deficiency disorder. Another similar term that's been coined that I heard on a podcast recently was DADS, DADS, Dad Attention Deficit Syndrome. So we don't want our kids having DDD or DADS at all. We want our kids to see their dads as their superhero, just as being that person in their life that is there for them, that communicates with them, that spends time with them, quality time with them, that sees them for the amazing kid that they are. And as our kids grow into adolescence and early adulthood and adulthood, they need the love and connection and unconditional love from both of their parents, if possible. Now, I know it's not always possible. Mm-hmm. Some kids can't have either their mum or their dad in their life for some reason. So whether you're a dad in the home bringing up your child, or whether you're estranged, whether you're co-parenting from a different space, that's okay. You're still your children's dad, and your role is still very, very important. So please do come and join us November the 7th. It'll run directly from our Parent Support Network page, but also once you register, you'll also have access to the Zoom link to be able to join us live, and we're going to have some great prize giveaways as well, just as a thank you for coming to join us. So unless you've got something else, Andrew, would you like to just say, I'll let you.
You're going to let me finish off.
The parting words, and I promise I'll zip I'm going to say goodbye for now, and I'm going to let Andrew give some wisdom in finishing off today.
Well, that's a worry. Obviously, Lillian's the communicator in this household. Anyway, once again, if dads will just turn up, and I guess that's what I had to do, was to turn up. I had to be a man, and what that means in a household once you become a father is to step up as a father when the need arises. And you reckon I'm not glad I did?
Wise words, Andrew. Thank you, everybody. Thanks for joining us. We'll catch you up on the masterclass on November the 7th.
See you then.
Bye for now.